There's been an update when it comes to the internet computer. Now, what do I mean by this, even though I'm not telling anyone to do anything, and even though nothing I say is financial advice? I want to talk about a recent announcement that Dominic made, or should I say Dom Williams. And no, I'm not talking about Dominic Mysterio. Again, I'm talking about Dominic Williams, who is the founder of Dfinity. Now, what did he say not too long ago? He said, when Cloudflare went down, apps on-chain on the internet computer continued running. However, some users experience issues where apps use Cloudflare for domain names. However, they made a decision, and that decision is that they're going to bring that on-chain as well. Now, we have to consider this. When it comes to the whole vibe of the internet computer, it feels like Dominic Williams, right? Again, Dominic, he really wants things to be on-chain when it comes to the internet computer, which I don't think is such a bad thing, actually, because, again, sometimes we see services go down and all this type of stuff, but if it's on-chain, the probability of that, I don't know if it would be too high. That's the way to take a look at it. However, even besides that as well, we have to consider this is already kind of harping on the narrative of them being focused on decentralized AI, where supposedly AI models can be run entirely on-chain. So then the way to take a look at it is that this kind of on-chain sort of focus, I find that pretty interesting because many other projects out there, they don't really care about this type of stuff. So I do like what I'm seeing when it comes to Dfinity, and overall, I do like seeing, I would say, the leadership when it comes to Dfinity as well, because some other projects out there, I see them have really good fundamentals, but sometimes the team doesn't really care, or they just don't really want to innovate anymore for some reason. In some cases, maybe they saw the project do pretty good and they just don't really care anymore. But I like the effort that Dfinity is putting in because a lot of this type of stuff people didn't really ask for, right? In my perspective, at least, the ones that I know. For instance, do I see thousands upon thousands of individuals asking for this to be the case? Nah, not really. I mean, but still, it is pretty cool nonetheless, seeing how, when it comes to, again, Dfinity, they even care about this type of stuff. Now, when it comes to the internet computer, I get it. Sometimes you have to say, oh, take a look at the pullback as of right now. When it comes to ICP, $100 is around a 20x from here. Totally aware of that, but still, I'm focusing on the fundamentals in this case. Now, the price is a little bit of a different case because, of course, that's going to be dependent on a lot of other factors. Like, for instance, it's not just entirely dependent on the fundamentals in a lot of cases that I see. Sometimes it's the market sentiment, the selling pressure, and all this type of stuff. So then when I take a look at something like Dfinity again, I do really like what they're doing. It seems like, at least to me. Now, some people like to say, okay, but who really cares about things being on-chain? Well, I think maybe some enterprises might care. Maybe in the retail side of things, it might not matter too much because, again, a lot of other projects out there, they don't really have a focus on this, but they're still more popular than the internet computer. But then still, when it comes to an enterprise, who knows, right? It may care about this type of stuff because an enterprise, sometimes they care about reliability. They just don't want services sometimes being down or having off time where they have to wait. Because in some enterprises where it's like 24/7, every minute sometimes counts, every minute sometimes matters. And these small details, sometimes a service being down an hour, 2 hours, or even just 10 minutes sometimes is already kind of not something that they would even really want to kind of even partner with anymore in some cases with a service if that happens. So when I take a look at something like, again, the internet computer, when I take a look at Dfinity, I like the forward-thinking mindset that Dfinity seems to be having, at least in my perspective. Now, when I take a look at it as well, I mean, Dfinity is not completely ignoring other projects too, because, for instance, right, we have to consider the aspects of chain fusion when it comes to internet computer, and I think that's also kind of a sign to me that, you know what, it's not like Dfinity feels like, oh, they're the best or something. It doesn't feel like that to me, because we take a look at chain fusion. There's aspects of, like, for instance, full support for Ethereum and other EVM chains. Right? We also take a look at support for ICP canisters to communicate directly with the Solana blockchain, and also being able to build it on Bitcoin at the speed of ICP. So again, I think they kind of acknowledge that, you know what, Solana, something like Ethereum, something like Bitcoin, I think they kind of acknowledge that at least for the foreseeable future, or even maybe for a very long time, it's just always going to be more popular than something like this, right? Or should I say the internet computer? But it doesn't mean it's a bad thing, because some other projects out there that are like nowhere near as massive as the internet computer, they like to say, oh, we're gonna, be more popular than this project or this one. But then in actual reality, is that going to be the case? In some cases, I don't really think so. When it comes to the longevity of the project, sometimes having other aspects to it, like for instance, EVM, or let's say the aspect of Solana when it comes to chain fusion, also the aspect of Bitcoin when it comes to that, I feel like they kind of know that that is sometimes key for the sort of longevity of a project, because if a project doesn't really want to care about this type of stuff, I feel like the ceiling might be a little bit limited in some cases. Generally speaking, a lot of altcoins are having a pullback, but in the meantime, when things are not looking the best, and in the meantime, when things are kind of boring, the way you take a look at it, what can I focus on? I'm going to be focusing on the updates, the fundamentals, and why I originally even believed in the project to begin with. Because as of right now, a bunch of projects that I'm holding, they're not doing good whatsoever. I mean, it's pretty much just, it doesn't even really matter if it's like a meme coin or not. And there doesn't seem to be this distinction, oh, is the project famous or not? The projects that I'm holding as of right now, they're having a pullback. So again, at a time like this, what can I focus on? Just the fundamentals, and that's it. Now, easily, right, the way you take a look at it, I could just exit and not believe in it anymore. Yeah, I could do that. But then why haven't I done that? Well, it's because I take a look at stuff like this and I'm still liking what I'm seeing when it comes to the fundamentals of the internet computer, because ICP reached over $18 not too long ago, and that was not even with this announcement, of course, right? I mean, Dom just made it not too long ago, or should I say Dominic? It's not like it was made, 2 years ago? You know what I mean? So the way you take a look at it is that, yes, sure, I understand that things aren't looking the best as of right now when it comes to altcoins, but I focus on projects that, even still, despite the market conditions not being the best when it comes to altcoins, I still focus on the ones that seem to be trying to innovate, that seem to be trying to at least do something. Now, it doesn't mean that it's going to do this or do that during an altcoin season if they don't give up, because some other projects out there, they seem to never give up, but then they seem to never really have that much attention either during a time when the market actually picks up a little bit. Now, granted, what can I do in a situation like this? I mean, all I can do is wait, but in the meantime, if I can wait and at least just take a look at a project at least developing, when I see the founder of Dfinity at least still updating, that's what I like seeing, because if a project doesn't really care anymore, I mean, it's kind of tough. That's the way to take a look at it, at least personally for me, because if, let's say, I'm in a sports team and the captain gives up, then how can I really not give up at that point? You know what I mean? Like, that just makes the whole mood and energy not as dynamic as it once was. So, yeah, my point of view is that when it comes to something like the internet computer, I still like the aspects of, for instance, not only this, but then also the aspects of caffeine AI. So overall, I'm just still staying patient. But then I guess that's pretty much about it. Now, also, my point of view is that ICP I saw was a pretty okay narrative when the altcoin season wasn't even existent the way you take a look at it, because I don't think I've seen an altcoin season during this cycle. So now that there's kind of more for me to latch on fundamentally, and now that the price is actually having pullback, I am not stopping in terms of believing in the project, even though I am not telling anyone to do anything, but I'm still dollar cost averaging once a month, and I'll see what happens. But that's just my point of view as of right now. I do like what I'm seeing when it comes to this announcement, so I just want to talk about this real quick, and I think it's a pretty cool update actually in the grand scheme of things that, this seems to be kind of the case when it comes to your computer. So yeah, that's pretty much about it. And again, the price isn't in the best, but what can I do about it? I'm just going to focus on stuff like this for the time being, at least as of right now. And I want to say thank you for watching. I hope y'all have a nice day. I greatly appreciate it, and I'll catch you all on the next one. I'm out. Peace. Bye.